Hey guys, what's up? It's Mike here, and I feel like it would be a good idea to make a video for anyone without a good credit score who wants to know how to turn that around and fix it as soon as possible. So that means that if your credit score is under about 680 to 700, be sure to check into this video and watch it in its entirety. If you don't raise your credit score over this threshold, it's literally going to cost you thousands, and it'll really hinder the opportunities that you can come across when it comes to financial investments, and that's just no bueno. Just think of it this way: if you don't have a good credit score, and more importantly, if you don't take the time to actually fix it, you're going to be charged higher interest rates on all sorts of debt, from mortgages, auto loans, and credit cards. Anytime you apply for an auto loan, credit card, or mortgage, there's going to be two things that are happening. Number one, the lender straight up declines you as you're seen as too risky. Number two, they're going to charge you a significantly higher interest rate to make up for the risk of lending to you. Both outcomes are definitely not in your favor. So what you can do starting today in order to fix these things, even if you have late payments and accounts and collections, are going to be covered in this video. We're going to cover each step that you need to take in order to get your credit score up, but it's first more important to get some expectations here. I'm going to make an assumption here, but I doubt that the debt load that you carry accumulated overnight. Similarly, fixing these issues and raising your credit score also does not happen overnight. You're not going to wake up tomorrow after doing one thing and it'll be drastically different. Because that's the fact. Nothing happens overnight. Even if you do every single thing in this video, it will still be likely that you won't be able to walk into a bank and be approved for a mortgage or a loan of your choosing. Unfortunately, that's just not how this works. What I can promise you is that by the end of this video, if you take notes on what is presented and you actually implement it each step over the next few months, it is going to have a massive positive impact on your credit score. Best part is that there's nothing difficult, technical, or even costly involved. So be sure to follow each technique to a T, and of course, hit that like button to help this video get pushed through the magic of the algorithm, and you'll be way further ahead in a few months. Now get on the edge of your seat, grab your favorite pen and notebook, and let's jump into it. Now, the very first thing you'll need to do, and it should stand out as quite obvious, is run your credit report to see exactly what is bringing it down. There are a ton of different sites that will help you run your credit score, many of them for free. So if you're in the United States, you'll want to check out sites like Credit Karma or Credit Sesame. If you're in Canada, hit up TransUnion or Equifax to run your credit report. In addition to running your initial report, head to annualcreditreport.com. and they will give you a free report every year with information that is fully up to date. It's worth noting before going on that there is a lot of sites that will ask you to pay for those reports. My goal with this video was to give you free resources to help build your credit, so I would not recommend investing into any of these services. All right, so you got your report, and now it's time to review it and find out exactly what is impacting your score so negatively. Typically, there are going to be the following issues at hand. The biggest and most prevalent one, and something that happens to a lot of younger people, is that you just started building your credit and there's no information to the bureau for them to assess you properly. If you're just starting out, you need to build solid credit. It's not just given to you and then taken away as you make more mistakes. If this is the case, I want you to stop the video here and go check out the other video I made on how to build your credit score from scratch. The link will be down below in the subscription, and it'll show you exactly how you can build your credit up step by step from a cold start. So once you have your report in hand, you're going to want to look for a couple of things. These things are typically marked as negative on your credit, and they would include late payments, accounts and collections, maxed out credit limits, and then obviously bankruptcies and foreclosures, which are the worst, biggest impact on a credit score, and they are incredibly hard to get removed, so let's avoid that at all costs possible. So I want to break down each of these 4 negative impacts and kind of shed some light on options to negotiate and even have them removed from your credit report. The single biggest issue is unfortunately increasingly common as the economy continues deteriorating in 2023, and it impacts your score for 7 years. And these are late payments. And I'm going to show you how you can fix this, but I want to look at a couple things first. A late payment is considered any payment that is past 30 days overdue. For instance, let's say you had a credit card payment that's normally due on the 1st, but you forgot to pay it, and instead you're paying it on the 10th. chances are nothing's going to happen except the credit card company might charge you a late fee. A lot of times these late fees can actually be negotiated if you call and politely ask them. Always remember that you should never lie and you should always treat others with kindness because they're more willing to do something for you if you do. It's important to note that the later the payment, the worse the impact on your credit score is. Also, if it is a newer late payment, let's say one that's been on your credit score for a few months versus one that's been on there for 5 years, the worse of an impact it will have on your score. It is vitally important that you pay it off as soon as possible. Now let's get back to it, and if after those 30 days you still have not paid it, chances are it's going to be showing on your credit report. So how much do late payments affect your credit? Well, it's quite a bit. Your late payment history makes up 35% of your overall credit score. The number of late payments is also going to play a big role in the negative impact on your credit. It goes without saying that multiple late payments is far worse than having one single late payment on your credit report. Just do yourself a favor and make the payments as soon as you can. This should be step number 1. Get all of your payments paid off, or at the very least, get caught up. I understand that times can certainly be tough on some people's situations more than others. If catching up is a bit difficult, sit down and run through your bank statements. Now, I'm a big believer that you can't budget your way into wealth and prosperity. That often requires investments to be made. However, it is absolutely possible to budget yourself out of credit card debt. Be sure to follow a 60-20-20 budget, and that will really help to get you ahead. Now, if you're not sure what a 60-20-20 budget is, be sure to subscribe to the channel and check out the in-depth video on budgeting that I'll link down in the description below. Catching up on your late payments is primary focus. Second to this is trying to negotiate the terms of your debt and see if your lender will adjust your accounts. You can explain that you're having a difficult time making payments. I'm always a believer that you'll get further using kindness, so be courteous with the customer service agents and never ever lie. You really have nothing to lose here, and the banks will want to work with you because they don't want to move that money into collections. The last point is to review your negative marks on your credit score and try to find inaccuracies within the late payments. If you are able to, identify them, corroborate the claim with statements and numbers that back it up, and then dispute the charges. If you can work with the bureau or lender to confirm that your claim is true, they may remove it. And doing this will make a huge difference. When a late payment goes on too long, it enters collections. And that's the next step of this credit bureau cleansing. If you see that you have accounts in collections, things have likely gotten pretty bad, so we need to deal with this as soon as possible. An account in collections means that the payments are so late that the lender has essentially given up on you and has written the debt off as a total loss. And they often sell it to a third-party collections agency who normally acquires that debt for pennies on the dollar. This is the point where some third-party debt collection agencies start calling you, they're going to hound you, and they're going to say that you owe the full amount. Often these agencies aim to stress you out, raise your anxiety, and push you to pay them that full amount. When it comes to figuring out how to handle this, there are a couple of different strategies that you could take on. First thing you should do is try to dispute it. If you see any errors or inaccuracies, like if you think that there's an error on the credit reporting side or you paid off the debt and it's not going through your account, then go ahead and dispute it. Once you file that dispute, the credit bureau will have 30 days to respond to you. If you think there's an error on the part of the debt collector, you can ask that they validate the debt, and if they can't, then you work with the bureau to have that removed. Because debts like this can be sold multiple times over the course of 7 years, there's a good chance that there may be an error along the way that you can then seize and take advantage of, and ideally have it removed from your report and improving your score. So this is normally when people ask, does that mean sometimes you can negotiate paying off debt in exchange for removing it from your credit report? Here's what you need to know about this. Debt collectors will often pay a small fraction of what your debt is and then try to profit on anything above that. So that means, for example, if you have a debt of $10,000, let's say, that goes into collections, that debt collector may have only purchased that debt for $1,000. So anything above that is going to be their profit. And sometimes that means that you can negotiate a $10,000 debt all the way down to, let's say, $2,000 payoff, where that's 100% return for the debt collection company, and get it removed from your credit report, because these debt collection agencies would rather get some money and some profit than have to go through the rigorous process of hounding you every single day. So it's always worth a shot. Now, a word of caution on this. This is often a bit of a gray area because technically speaking, paying off a debt in collections will still show on your report. If you paid it off through a negotiation like this, you may be able to negotiate with the credit bureau to see if it could be removed. Debt collection companies really have no financial gain in responding to credit bureau inquiries, so if the bureau sends a message to them and they don't respond, it's possible that after 30 days it is removed from your credit report. This is all done at your own risk, and you need to know that you have to conduct your own research and your planning of the negotiation and every step that ensues afterwards. Always ensure accuracies of your position, and I'll repeat this like a broken record, never lie in these cases. Now, when it comes to your credit usage, you want to be sure that you're extra mindful of this because it makes up 30% of your credit score. Anything that you can do to lower your limits will increase your score drastically. Now, of course, there are always cases of identity theft and fraudulent charges, so if you see any errors or suspicious activity on your report or on your credit card statements, be sure to have it addressed immediately and seek replacement for the cards that have been compromised. When it comes to managing your credit usage, in order to maximize your credit, you'll want to ensure that you use only a minimal percentage of your overall credit limit. And if you can manage it and be responsible, you'll want to seek limits over time. If a lender sees that you have access to $5,000, let's say, and you're continually hovering around a $4,500 limit and you're only making minimum payments, they're going to see you as a higher risk. However, if you have, let's say, $15,000 of credit and you're only using a few $1,000 and it's paid off regularly in full, you're going to be seen as a lower risk, and this will reflect positively on your credit report. So how much is the perfect number when it comes to utilization? Ideally, you want to be under 10% of your overall credit limits, so that way you're seen as a safer borrower and therefore get a higher credit score. What helps to keep your credit usage down, and obviously this should be of no surprise, is to actually pay off your credit charges. The credit system rewards people to spend money on cards, and they even give you rewards and privileges through that credit card. But they also make a ton of money from people who carry balances. Spend money on your card, reap the rewards and the privileges, but pay off your balance so you're not carrying that debt, because some of these interest rates are absolutely insane. If you continually find yourself maxing out your credit cards, it's time to introduce a budget and get control of your spending habits. I talked about the budget earlier on in this video. The link is below. I highly recommend introducing a 60-20-20 budget and try your best to stick to that to the best of your abilities. Now, the next part is the biggest, and it's often the most difficult to deal with. If you have a bankruptcy, it's going to stay on your credit report for 7 to 10 years, and removing it is very, very difficult, if not impossible. Pretty much your biggest opportunity here is to hope that there's an error or an inaccuracy in the reporting of the information, and then you can go ahead and dispute it. Be sure to provide ample evidence of your claim, as this will be very closely examined. This also applies to people in foreclosures. These situations are quite difficult to solve, and if you've been in a position of insolvency, you essentially need to double down on your efforts put towards what we previously talked about in the video. You'll need to focus on keeping payments up to date, minimizing your usage, and ensuring that nothing goes into collections. And unfortunately, you're going to have to do this over the course of years until you start to see an uptick. It may feel like the uphill battle for 7 years, but if you come out on the other side, you're going to have a hell of a story when it comes to the determination, the discipline, and obviously the triumph of success after bankruptcy. And that just about wraps it up. It's exactly how you can take a bad credit score entirely on your own without paying any third parties and improve on it. The process is fairly simple, and it shouldn't be too long to do, and it's going to save you a ton of money over the course of your lifetime. You need a good credit score for almost everything financial, and I hope that this video gives you an idea of steps that you can take to start fixing yours up. If you found this helpful, do me a favor, smash that like button at the bottom, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. I personally respond to every comment on the videos, and I want to make sure that you guys are getting value. If you have ideas to share or things you'd like to explore, provided that they're not too personal, let me know, and I will absolutely do some research for you. Throughout all of this, if you are looking for ways to increase your income, be sure to check out other videos on the channel. I'm regularly testing side hustle ideas and learning new ways to earn a few extra $100 a week. Ideally, all of this is done from home or locally and investing no more than an hour or two a day. I understand that we're all busy, but especially in these economic times, every little bit helps when you're working to build your way out of debt and repair your credit. Be sure to leave a comment below, and if you are on Instagram and TikTok, connect with me there and say hi. I'm wishing you all the best, and until next time, goodbye.